Hi, my name is Andrea, and I am going to do my very best to teach you how to crochet. And one of the first things I would like to teach is the chain stitch. The chain stitch is very common, and it is one of the first things that you have to do when making something like a scarf or a blanket or a sweater. So I'm going to show you how to do an easy chain stitch. Okay, the first thing you're gonna do is pull out your favorite yarn. Right here I have Bernat Softy Baby. And one thing I wanna recommend is when you're starting out and you're brand new to crochet, pick yarn that is not the fancy kind with all the different weaves or it looks like Angora rabbit hair, you know, just pick the strands that are very simple and plain so that you can actually see what you're doing, and you'll have less mistakes that way. And then once you build up your confidence and your skill level, then you can go crazy and use any kind of yarn that you want and have less frustration and less mistakes that way. Also, what I really like about yarn is that they basically tell you exactly what size needle or hook you need, and then crochet, which is what we're going to do, they recommend the 4mm or US G6. And so we are going to use a 4mm hook for this yarn. Now, one thing I want to point out too is that it says G6 4mm. My G6 hook says 4.25mm. So as long as it's one or the other, you're going to have basically the right size hook for the job. So don't be too caught up if it says G6 but it doesn't say 4.00, and if it says 4.25, this is still the right hook for the job. Okay, so let's get started. And one thing is that this is another thing that you can do. The yarn you can pull from the body, and you'll see that it's wrapped around and around like this. And you can start with this one on the outside. Some people like to pull from the middle. You can pull an end out and pull from the middle. Personally, I like to do neither. The best thing you could do to save yourself a whole lot of headache is to take the time, and you don't have to do it in this video, for larger projects like sweaters, scarves, baby blankets, and things like that. I would take the time, and I'll just show it to you really quick before we get going on this chain. Take the time to wind it up into a ball. You know, just go around your fingers a few times until you get a chunk of yarn started, and take the time to roll this yarn into a ball, and you just get it nice and tight, and it's going to be rough at first, and you can do this while watching TV or, you know, talking on the phone to your mom where phone calls get really long, and you wind and wind and wind, and eventually you will have a big yarn ball. And I'm telling you right now, I will do this every single time that I'm going to be using a lot of yarn on a big project, because what happens is this starts to dwindle down, and it gets, the looser and floppier this gets, whether you're pulling from in the middle or from outside, it will become tangled so much easier, and you're gonna have to stop several times during your project to untangle this, and it gets really frustrating. So do yourself a favor, take the time to wind this into a ball, and you will save yourself a lot of headache. Okay, so let's get started. So what you're going to do is you're going to first put your yarn on the hook, and to attach it and make that first loop, you can either do a slip knot or you can do a regular knot. And I will just show first what the slip knot looks like. You can just cross over like this, and you can just make a loop go through that hole like this. And you can put your yarn in that top loop, and then when you pull the tails like that, you create that slip knot like so. And you just pull on that tail and it brings it up to the hook. And you just want to keep it loose so that your hook can move freely through the loop. Now, I do not like this because when you make your chains, and I will show you before we actually learn how to do the chain, I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, and what happens is, if for whatever reason you're working and this tail gets pulled, I've just lost my first chain. And that's fine if that happens while chaining. You just add an extra chain. Say if you need to chain 20, which is what we're going to do. And so from here, I've lost my first chain, and I don't have to unravel. I can keep going because at this point, it is now a knot, and I can just keep going because it should not do that anymore. It'll be secure now. Or you can just do what my grandmother taught me and make a regular knot. So you cross over, you bring the tail completely through and make a loop. Put your hook through the yarn right there, and you just gently tie it on. And then cross over again, bring it through, and pull these together and just make a regular old-fashioned knot. And that way it's not going to go anywhere when you're working. And make sure that this fits around the crochet hook evenly and that it slides very easily like that. All right, so let's go ahead and make a chain. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose to do the regular knot and leave enough of a tail for weaving in later, which will all make sense to you much later. But for now, just make that loop like so, and then bring the tail through the hole and make a little circle like that. And then just put your hook in the hole and gently pull it together so that it's not too tight, but that it fits snugly around the crochet hook. And then go ahead and wrap the tail around just like you would a regular simple little knot. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this long slack of the yarn and we're going to place it on our left hand. We're going to go over our hand like this, spread your fingers, come underneath the middle finger. Oops, I got caught on my hook there. Come underneath the middle finger, go back over the index finger, and bring it right in front of the middle finger, tip. Okay? And then with my right hand, again, just resting on the middle finger here, also using my index finger for control, and I'm placing my thumb right on the flat part. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started and let's make this chain. So you're going to have the hook in front of this piece of yarn. You're going to be in front of it. You're going to wrap it around and you're going to gently pull through the hole. And that is a chain. Okay, let's do it again. So you're in front of the yarn, you're going to wrap it around, and you're going to grab the yarn with the hook, and you're going to gently pull through the hole, and that is another chain. Okay, let's do it one more time. We're going to be in front of the strand of yarn, wrap the hook around this way, and gently pull through the hole. And so now I have 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. And you'll see that the chain looks like a little oval. Some think it looks like a V, but I don't really want to call it a V because you might focus on the actual point that it comes, the actual V shape, and that could be confusing later on. So I just like to say that it's just like a little oval with one side, a left side, and a right side. Okay, and so we are going to continue on 17 more chains to make a chain of 20. One thing I want to note as you're working, this should be nice and loose enough that it can slide through your fingers so that when you need more yarn, it will easily slide through your fingers to give you more slack and more yarn to work with. And as my chain gets longer, I will just come up with my fingers to get a nice firm hold on it so that I have control. And last chain, again, in front, around, grab the yarn, pull it through the hole for the last chain on this chain of 20. And then even though you may have counted as you were going, I always recommend going back and counting the stitches to make sure you have exactly what you're supposed to have. So always, always, always check your work. So I'm just going to count really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. See, I went over. So I'm going to hold that and I'm going to unravel that. I think I went over by 3 or 4, something like that. Okay, so let's double check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great. So there you have it. This is how you crochet a chain. And this is very important for projects such as blankets or sweaters or scarves. This is the foundation row that starts most of those projects. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.